everybody. My name is Pastor J. Bruce Langley with the International Apostolic House of Prayer in Nashville, Georgia. And we're beginning a series of Bible studies on Instagram, and we're going to be using them in other locations, but we're going to call them 10-minute Bible studies. We're going to begin our first Bible study today with the subject, the amazing names of God in the Old Testament. We hope this is something that will interest you. We want to talk a little bit about the Old Testament first in this first Bible study, and we're going to tell you about the terms that are used and in their order of importance, I guess you would say, based on how many times they're used in the Bible. Now, we want to begin with the most important name, which is the name of Yahweh in the Old Testament. That name is used more than any other of the names or appellates, about 6,500, a little over 6,500 times in the Old Testament. And it's first seen in Genesis chapter 2, verse 1. It was the name that was revealed to Moses, who was the one who wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, the Pentateuch, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. It was revealed to him that that was the personal name of God. And of course, it makes sense that that was the name that was most used in the Old Testament of the names of God. And the rest of them I will call titles, simply because Yahweh was the proper name of God. So we're going to refer to the other some 16, there's 16 in all names, but 15 of them we're going to call titles. Now, Yahweh was not pronounced or said and was not pronounced after about the 3rd century by the Jews, according to their tradition. Different reasons for that are promoted, but probably the most common is that it was considered so holy that it was not to be pronounced. There's other views of that, of course. Now, we want to share that the second most referred to name in the Bible, or as we said, the title, that's what I was trying to remember, couldn't remember the title, is called Elohim. It's a Hebrew plural form, and there's significance to this in the Old Hebrew language. There was a very special grammatical idiom, a word that was pluralized could also take on the meaning of an intensity rather than a plurality of items, and could produce tonight several meanings or several occasions when this happens in the Old Testament. One of which is heavens. There's only one heaven in reality in the Jewish culture's idea, but it's called heavens. And sometimes it's even said to be heavens of heavens. It doesn't indicate a plurality, but simply one place, heaven, that is God's throne. And then we also have other occasions. In Italian, you would say he's an Americano. He's really an American. He's very much an American. And that's a way they indicate an intensity of attribute that's related to the name. Now, the names in the Old Testament are indicators of deeper meanings, according to Alfred Edersheim. So names are often indicators of qualities or characteristics of the individual that they go with. The third, Elohim is used just under 3,000 times in the Old Testament. And rather than indicating a plurality of persons, some have proposed that it's rather a plurality of majesty or plurality of quality. He is God of God. He is really a God. He is the God. And so you find a lot of time the word Elohim is associated with the most often used name or the personal name of Yahweh. Now, the third most often used term or attribute or title, as we say, is the word or the attribute El Olam, which means the everlasting God, which is used about 439 times in the Bible, and it means Olam means forever, always, continual existence, perpetual, everlasting, evermore. So this is Him that is this everlasting one, the everlasting God. Adonai is often used in Hebrew culture to replace the idea of Yahweh, since they don't pronounce it. It's used in the Old Testament beginning in Genesis 15:2, and it's used about 434 times in the Bible. It also means Lord or Master. It can also be a reference to an individual, a human individual, as Sir or Master. Now, the fifth most used appellate is Jehovah Sabaoth, which is used in the Bible more than 285 times, beginning at 1 Samuel 1:3. And it means Jehovah Sabaoth, which means the Lord of armies or the Lord of hosts. And number 6 is El Elyon, the Most High God. And first seen in Genesis 14:18. It's used 52 times in the Bible. And sometimes it's used without the first El. It's simply Elyon, which would be the high one. But El Elyon means the Most High God. El Shaddai, number 7, the Lord God Almighty, begins Genesis 17:1. It's used 48 times in the Bible and sometimes occurs without El on it. It has a very unusual origin. It means the breast or the many-breasted one. It also is indicator of a provider. The nourisher of the people of God is El Shaddai. Shaddad is also a root that is indicative of overpowering or destroyer, the destroyer, the overpower. So referring to God's absolute power. So this is, when you put them both together, you have the overpowering, all-powerful, all-sufficient sustainer of the people of God. And we're going to quickly tell Elkanah is the jealous God, used 6 times in the Bible, Exodus 20, verse 5. Jehovah Ra, the Lord is my shepherd, is in Psalms 23, 1. It's also used in 3 other places. We also have Jehovah Mekodishkem, the Lord who sanctifies you, is used twice in the Bible, in Exodus 31:13 and Leviticus 20:8. It means the one who makes holy. Jehovah Sidkenu, the Lord our righteousness, is used twice, but both of those occurrences are in Jeremiah 23:6 and Jeremiah 33:16. Means our righteousness, our justice, our deliverance, our victory, our prosperity. Jehovah Sidkenu. The 12th one is Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide, found in Genesis 22:14. Jehovah Rapha, the Lord who heals you, used once in Exodus 15:26. Jehovah Nisi, the Lord is my banner, in Exodus 17:15. And Jehovah Shalom, the Lord is peace, in Judges 6:24. And finally, Jehovah Shammah, the Lord is there, used in Ezekiel 48:35. Thank you so much for listening today, and we look forward to hearing you next and seeing you next time.